Men, are you happy you got married? And why? Story 1. I'm on my second marriage. First one was 11 years. I swore after that one I would never get married again. 2 years after our breakup, I met a woman I fell in love with, and 2 years later we got married. We have been together a total of 25 years. We renewed our vows in Yosemite this past spring. We live nearby and the chapel does it every spring. We have 3 great children and a great marriage. I don't regret either marriage. I am friends with my ex, who has also been remarried for 15 years, and we still talk on the phone at least once a year, and she laugh about things we remember. Her mother still calls me on holidays and for my birthday. Answer: same. This is my second marriage. The first one was a disaster. We got married young, at 18, and separated by 19. We had a kid to fix our problems, then divorced by 21. Our love language was yelling and screaming. After that, I said, nope, I'm taking time for myself to grow. I met my wife at age 27, and then I knew she was the one. We connected. During our first argument, she didn't yell and just told me, hey, talk to me. You don't need to get upset. I said, so relationships aren't about yelling? I grew with her, and what really sealed the deal was that she drove 1 hour out of her way to see me in the hospital. I was hospitalized for 3 days due to a kidney stone, and she came out of her way to see me. My roommates didn't even know I was missing. Lol. Together for 13 years, and I can't imagine being without here. We connect on everything, and we are intimacy compatible. My ex, she made intimacy feel like a chore, and when I stopped begging, she accused me of cheating because I wasn't begging her. Story 2. Very much so. My best friend, hands down. The only catch, if I am going to be real, is menopause. It's almost like trying to fall in love with a new person, and in my case, you can't to be intimate with them. If we can make it through this phase, divorce in this time frame is rather high. They say we will be even better on the other side. Not sure TBH we make it sometimes. Answer: been together 33 years, married for over 25. Menopause was rough in our case. The flux of hormones basically caused temporary personality instability and shifts. Lasted about a year, and we only powered through because we were both too stubborn to give up. And then on the back end, once the process finished, we were closer than before. Very happy and best friends. Story 3. I thought I was until the switch-up happened afterwards. We had discussed kids. I said I didn't know if I'd want kids until I'm at least 30 and or financially stable. I grew up poor, and I was still living month to month. I didn't want that for my kids. She claims she understood. On our honeymoon, I was met with the pressuring of children, a lash out, and the honeymoon was ruined. 1 year later, I got the, I want to be pregnant by May or this isn't going to work discussion. I pulled back, lost all interest in her, and within 6 months, I called it off as I couldn't look past that ultimatum. So no, I'm not happy I got married. I'm divorced. Got married at 24, separated at 26, divorced at 27. I'm now 30 and still don't feel like I'm in a position to bring life into this world. I'm just glad I didn't buy into the breach of boundaries. Answer: same story but opposite. We had talked about kids before we got married and had decided to start a family soon after the wedding. I was 26. She was 24. My entire life I wanted to be a dad. My dad wasn't around growing up, and I wanted to give a child something I didn't have. Literally, the day after the wedding, she tells me she doesn't know if she wants kids. Not that she wants to wait a couple years until we're stable, but that she didn't want to have kids at all. I signed my divorce papers on the 2nd anniversary of our wedding, so I can still celebrate the day. Edit: the kicker is, she was right. She's married again, still no kids. I've been single since the divorce, 11 years now, because that entire situation fudged me up hard. Story 4. Nope. She hid her borderline personality disorder from me, and after marriage and a few kids, the mask slipped off, revealing who she really was. The mask was for me only, as I found out after the divorce that as soon as I left for work, she'd be nutty and abusive to the kids, and told the kids not to tell. So my happy memories of us all together were just lies. She died last year after years of mixing benzos and alcoholism. One kid was sad for a bit, the other didn't give a shoot at all. Story 5. To me, a good marriage is combining forces with someone to make life easier and accomplish your goals faster. Quite literally, playing life on two-player mode. Now, if your teammate is trolling or heading in a different direction than you, lose all benefits of playing life on co-op mode, and sometimes it can make life even harder. But if your teammate is actually working with you, life suddenly gets way easier, and the speed of achieving your goals is multiplied. Not to mention your teammate can be sexy as hell, haha. Story 6. Currently sitting in an urgent care room with my wife, 27. Watching her get poked with IVs and watching her health slowly deteriorate over the last year has put the idea of my marriage in a new light. Granted, I haven't been married for very long, 3 years. However, we were together all through high school and college. She is by far my best friend, and during the healthy period, she was full of energy and life and excitement to go out and do things. She helped me learn to love new things I wouldn't have normally tried. I even wrote in my vows to her that she makes me want to put in the effort to be a better person every day, which is still true. Now, with this period, it has made me realize that marriage isn't a simple partnership between friends, but a partnership against everything life throws at you. It's hard to look at problem face on and acknowledge something that is clearly visible to you every day, like a sickness in your partner. But honestly, the best thing are those days when it isn't so bad that her genuine smile and laugh shine through her pain. Simply, marriage is the best and worst thing, since it can give you so much to love and look forward to and hope. But simultaneously, it can rip it away, even if you do everything right. But like I said in my vows, I'll be a husband that I'll put in the effort every day, even on the days where it is the hardest. Story 7. I wish I had gotten married sooner. It took 4 years to pop the question. Our intimacy lives got way better after marriage. She forced me to see docs to get medicated. She pushed me to get our first house. I've doubled my net worth thanks to her. My family loves her. I'm cool with her fam. Story 8. No, and never will again. For 20 years, I thought she was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, but she turned out to be the worst thing that ever happened to me. I wish she had taken down me slowly, with a small, dull, rusty hatchet that would have been far less painful. Bait switch. Story 9. For a good time, sort by controversial. The trick to life as a man is to build your kingdom first, then spend the rest of your life protecting it from being taken away by a woman. Why sign up for a life where one spends a lot of time doing things that they don't want to do? The things that I value in a romantic relationship are things that I can get out of a series of overlapping transient interactions. Glorious. Story 10. Depends on the day. Things changed when we had our second child, which made things much more difficult. But I adjusted and got better while she is stressed and overwhelmed all the time. It's like every day is the first day on the job for her. And when the woman's miserable, everyone's miserable. Edit. It's insane the amount of comments I've received from women knee-jerking about this post, in a thread that's literally asking men for their input. According to these women, they have deduced, based on these 5 sentences alone, that I, 1, do not participate in any chores besides loading the dishwasher. 2, do not take care of my kids because I am a kid. And 3, I'm somehow forcing all the mental load of having a family onto her, even though I experience everything she experiences. So I'm causing the stress, and it definitely isn't attributed to hormones, anxiety, or mental illness. You know, realistic, reasonable stuff. Y'all women are so astute. Wild. Story 11. No, because my wife has depression and anxiety, and it has ruined most of the positive moments that should come with a marriage. It's been this way since our wedding day. Engagement period was tough. Wedding day sucked. 0 honeymoon. No postmarital bliss or newlyweds time. We're about 7 years post-wedding day, and most basic intimacy needs aren't met for me. Simple romance, date scuttling, is difficult because she's busy freaking out about things that simply are not that important. I know I mean everything to her, and regularly hear phrases like, "You mean the world to me. You're my best friend. I'd die without you," and all of those other meaningful phrases others are posting here. I can't bring myself to say them back, since none of them really resonate due to my unmet needs and the amount of rejection I feel. She feels like me asking her to meet my needs is asking her to spend energy that she doesn't have and creating an obligation. She talks about how she'll feel resentment towards me if I make her feel obligated to do anything with me. And to her point, I get it. I don't want her to do things out of obligation. I want her to choose me. I thought that was why we got married. Again, I need to be wanted. There's zero awareness that the endless rejection is building resentment in me. I see other happy couples in our neighborhood coming back from a night out, and I feel jealousy. I think I'm hitting my breaking point because my empathy for her depression is exhausted. It's an odd experience to be married and have a thought like, I'd love to take a woman out on a nice date this weekend. I wish that woman was my wife, but there's 98% chance she'll let me down, and I will just feel bad because my own wife rejected me. Obligatory note, I do all of the cooking, all of the errands, handle the bills, and do 50 of the cleaning. We don't have kids. This is simply the depression. And yes, she has multiple prescribed medications. Answer: this is one of the most honest and difficult things I've ever read on the internet. My advice: get out. You've suffered long enough. There is no light at the end of your tunnel. Spent 14 years in a similar situation, and it was about a decade too long. It takes a long time to claw yourself back from that, but it will likely be worthwhile. Painful, but worthwhile. I am not a professional, so take my advice with a grain of salt. However, this is just another dude's opinion who's been through that. Make sure you are taking some accountability here, but if you truly feel you are being honest with yourself, you need to end things and move on, or at the very least seek counseling for the both of you. Story 12. Not at all. Got married way too young, 19, and we both grew up in super conservative households, so divorce is basically an eternal sin. No matter how unhappy either or both parties are, the marriage must hold together. The worst part is that both of us are good people. How's that bad? Because in our culture, divorce is only allowed if there's a very clear villain of the relationship. And with both of us being moral, albeit unhappy, people, any reason we might give for splitting up is automatically considered not that bad and something you could go to counseling for. Story 13. I, 57 male, have been happily married for 23 years, and I would marry her again eagerly and without hesitation. I suppose, like many couples, the romance and intense intimacy attraction has evaporated over time. For some people, that can be a deal breaker, but for us, we've taken it in stride and become like affectionate, kind, supportive roommates who still really enjoy each other's company. For instance, we always have a wonderful time running errands or traveling together. We also have a comfortable life with 2 sweet grown children who still seem to like us. 23 years ago, I married not just this brilliant, compassionate person, but an entirely new life of love. Story 14. No, been married for over 24 years. It hasn't always been bad, but definitely more bad than good. She brings out the worst in me, and I must bring out the worst in her. She is not my best friend, more like a tolerable roommate that I can't afford to get rid of. I'm pretty sure I would have been better off without her, regardless of whether I married someone else or stayed single. Regardless, I think I would be better off and happier without her in my life. Story 15. Heck yeah. I have realized that I am a person who really craves the companionship of a woman. When it's absent from my life, I feel incomplete. I love being married. Like everything else in life, there are pros and cons. But for me, the pros heavily outweigh the cons, and I feel incredibly lucky that my wife truly has shown herself to be the too incredibly awesome person I thought she was when I made the decision to propose. Story 16. Yes and no. We have been together 23 years next month. Many positives have come out of our marriage. We have 3 amazing children. We've pushed and supported each other as we've gone along, and both of us have great careers. We both love to try new foods and travel, so we usually have great vacations. We have had some of the best times of our lives together. Unfortunately, we've also had some of the lowest of lows. Miscarriage and infidelity, hers, then mine, were big shocks to our union and nearly ended us. We grew up in wildly different backgrounds, so we have fundamentally different worldviews, and that has led to clashes about the kids, money, etc. Intimacy is a huge issue because she's never really been all that into it, and it's even less now that she's in menopause. That said, it's difficult to imagine being with anyone else. Despite the frustrating aspects of our marriage, there's no one else I'd rather talk to or spend time with. I wish she wanted to have intimacy more often, and I wish we could communicate better, but she's my person, and I'm hers. I'd rather have that than nothing. Story 17. No, we had a great relationship, but when she got some modest but significant success in her career, she got such a big head that she started dating outside the relationship and eventually fell for one of them. When stuff was good between us, I dismissed her narcissistic tendencies as me just not being used to having a partner with healthy self-esteem. Learned my lesson. Story 18. Clear no for me. We were incompatible, toughed it out for too long, eventually got divorced. I realize now that even with the perfect partner, I don't think I'm willing to make the sacrifices necessary for a healthy long-term relationship. Why sign up for a life where one spends a lot of time doing things that they don't want to do? The things that I value in a romantic relationship are things that I can get out of a series of overlapping, transient interactions. Story 19. Honestly, no. She is my partner, and we get along mostly okay, but it's a chore most days. 10 years in and intimacy is basically gone. It was never as good as I wanted to begin with, but now it's twice every 3 months if I'm lucky, and it's always out of a sense of duty that she gives in then. She doesn't, grins and bears it. I suspect next year will be annual at most. She has no interest in satisfying my needs, intimacy, or pretty much in any way. We haven't slept together on a normal night, i.e., not traveling and needing to share a bed, in 3 years. She says it's my fault, but every time I try to get into bed with her, she complains that she's warm or it's not comfortable or crowded. Even on the rare occasion we have intimacy, she doesn't want to share the bed. Her love language is buying things. I don't like things, and I don't want to spend the money. She's scared of burglary, so if I'm not home at night, she doesn't sleep, which means that my outdoor pursuits, hunting and fishing, are limited to being home by dark, and my career has been, and continues to be, seriously damaged by the inability to travel. We have a 7-year-old, and it's important to me that he be raised in a 2-parent household. Since my wife and I get along fine, and I know she loves our son in the best way she can, I can put my needs, intimacy, and experiential on hold for the next 10 or so years. Answer: I was in a similar position, down to having a 6 to 7-year-old kid. Fortunately, didn't get married, but we were in a domestic partnership for the majority of our relationship, so it's close enough a facic. We ended it. She now lives upstairs and I live downstairs. My kid is probably a little clued in that something's up, but for the most part, it is business as usual. We get along better now than we did for the last 4 years of our relationship. I'm free to experience things as I want, and so is she. The hardest part is finding someone else, but I'm more focused on accomplishing a few goals. Finishing my 2nd degree is my main one, than dating currently anyways. It was a little rough of a transition for me. Still is to a point, if I'm being honest. But at a certain point, it's basically like you're not in a relationship anyways. Life is too short to be miserable. It's time to have a long and difficult discussion with her, in my unprofessional opinion. Then afterwards, enjoy some of the newfound freedom. Obtain some goals to get lost in, career-wise or otherwise, and don't look back. Story 20. I'm happily divorced. I don't regret getting married, but it was pointless and meaningless, and the start of the end of my relationship. Everything became worse from that very day. Will not get married ever again as time, love, support, money, and energy put into women has diminishing returns instead of the opposite. Story 21. Generally speaking, absolutely. Marriage is tough. For folks that have never done it, it is totally unlike anything you've ever done in a relationship before. You are just in it, all the time. Mud and warts and farts and everything. There are some days we get on each other's nerves, and other days where we are lovey-dovey. It comes in waves and changes with seasons, and hormones and everything else. Either way, you're just in it. It's beautiful when you're able to step back for a minute and just look at the life you've built with another person. And it's those moments me and my wife really relish. We went to the Ren Fair this past weekend. It was my wife's first time going after years of not wanting to go with our friends, and she just adored it. Turns out it's totally her scene, and she was just being anxious. It's a beautiful thing to see someone who you think you know so intimately just find some new way to open up and explore life. She's already looking at outfits to wear for next year. When my dad was alive, I asked him once why my mom and him never got a divorce. I remember him saying, "I don't always like your mother, but I always love her. And if that's not marriage sometimes, I don't know what is." Story 22. I married someone from a different country. We fell in love quick. It was very intense in the beginning. I wanted to make it happen, so I gave up everything to make it happen. It was exciting, and I was happy to do it. We traveled the world together, lived in different countries together. Then I started getting emotionally abused by her. She gradually revealed she has OCD and perfectionism, serious control issues, wants to 1,000 everything, so my mentality of getting shoot done in an 80-20 way makes me lazy or inept because she believes she has to do everything correctly herself. The cultural differences have become increasingly more challenging. Simple things that everyone knows where I'm from, she has no clue about. She also has zero interest or patience in learning about those things. Confidently incorrect about a lot as well, which is extra challenging to remain patient about. I spend a lot of time reading and learning. She spends a lot of time doom scrolling. The knowledge gaps are only widening. Complete opposite values and approaches like, we can afford to have 2 cars and I'm tired of doing both your commute to work and mine every day. is met with, but we save X per month and I don't want to work my entire life. It's proven to be extremely challenging to remain together. We have our good days, but most days we're butting heads. However, the idea of splitting also feels like an impossible, monumental task because of how much we had to do to exist in the same country together. If I could go back in time 12 years ago, I'd tell myself to wait to get married. You don't have to get married. Do all the fun things and see what she reveals about herself during that time. Then decide to get married once you're 100% sure you can handle finances, life, culture, politics, work challenges, etc. together. Story 23. Wouldn't have done it if I didn't want to. I'm happy I got married because I picked someone who I enjoy spending time with, even when we're doing nothing. I think the men who complain about marriage or make the ha ha ha, wife bad, ha ha ha, marriage bad, ha ha ha, marriage no intimacy jokes sound like fudge losers. You'll find them in most Ask Reddit posts asking questions about intimacy lives, married life, and relationships in general. Someone makes a comment like, wait, you, married guys are having intimacy? And it turns into a circle jerk of dudes complaining about their wives. Story 24. Very happy. The biggest worry men have is the possibility of losing half of my stuff via divorce. But my wife made a lot of sacrifices in her career to have and raise our kids when they were young. I wouldn't want to marry anyone dumb enough to do that without the financial protection a marriage contract provides. Story 25. It's been 28 years of marriage and so hard to answer. Depends on the day week. We bear through and support each other. But now that kids grown up, we don't really have that unifier anymore. Plus, don't get me started on the good Lord's joke on menopause. I must not have read the fine print. So while I wouldn't trade it, I'd certainly not get married again if one of us passed on. Also recommended having more in common. Sadly, we have little to none. Story 26. Here's a fun one. I've been married 4 years. 2 years ago, my wife comes out as bi-intimacy and then decides she probably doesn't want kids. Still married. IDK for how much longer? I don't even know where my wedding ring is. So no, being married has been hell. Story 27. Marriage is the only thing we celebrate before the hard work gets put in. And the result of a successful marriage is one person is alone. But getting married was one of the best decisions I have made because I picked the right woman. Is she perfect? No. Am I? Abso-fudge-lutely not. Am I happy? More than I deserve to be, and she is the same. We have a great life together. The only regret is that one of us will have to say goodbye someday. Story 28. Best thing that ever happened to me. I have been married for 22 years. 2 are stronger than 1. My wife compliments me and I feel that I am a much better man than I would ever have been on my own. She fills in my gaps and gives me perspective and reasoning when I have to make decisions. She respects my decisions and allows me to lead our family. Everything I do or decision that I make, I want to make her happy because I love her. So naturally, the decisions I make most of the time makes her happy. Then she does things to make me happy. This is the way. Story 29. Not gonna lie, I wish I could say the same. We've been in love since 2006, finally got married in 2020, and we've got a 2-year-old daughter now. On paper, it should have been perfect, but somewhere along the way, things just fell apart. It's like life kept throwing stuff at us. Arguments, pressure, silence, and I kept pretending everything was fine. But deep down, it's not. I regret getting married, not because she's a bad person, but because I feel like I lost myself somewhere in the process. There's someone else in my life now, and that only makes everything messier. I can't even think about divorce without knowing she'd take my daughter away from me. So I stay, not out of love anymore, but out of fear of losing the only innocent thing left in all this, my little girl. Story 30. I was sure that this woman will be mine, and I will be hers for the rest of our lives. So I put a ring on it. I just can't stop loving the woman. It's just maddening, LOL. If my world is crumbling beneath my feet, or I'm going through so rough waters, just holding my hand, or gently scratching the back of my head will pull me up and restore my strength. She is my power. Story 31. I've been with my wife for over 11 years. We're both early mid-30s. My wife is an incredible person, and I think we share different sets of skills to make a really great team. She's great with kids, and I view her as a brave person. She's also super supportive of me, and she has a knack for art. I've learned to be more myself socially because of her, and I'm happier and better for it. It's capped off by her also being a babe who I'm very physically into. We make each other laugh all the time, and we're usually not very serious. The fights are, and always have been, few and far between, with only maybe 2 bad fights ever. So I think we just mesh very well. I don't believe in soulmates, but we are just attracted to each other, get along very well, and we mix very well. I love being married to my wife. Story 32. Today is our 4-month anniversary. So far, so good. Someone else mentioned the idea that you don't choose your partner once. You choose your partner every day, and I felt that speaks to me. 5 years together, almost 4 dating, less than 1 engaged, 4 MO in. Her and I are open about the idea that feelings change, and communication is the most important thing in the world. Be open and honest with each other. If we fall out of love, we fall out of love, but I just keep loving her more every day. Story 33. There are parts I miss. Being alone and doing what I want after work or during the weekend. Until I go to bed is something I miss. It's been over 20 years since I have had an entire day, from morning until bed, to myself. Not having worries or anxiety about people and their health, wife and kids, is something I miss. Story 34. 18 years. She's my best friend. I've always been the sort of person to prioritize a few deep friendships over many with less depth. Marriage is the epitome of that. Beyond selfish reasons, she's gorgeous. Being married makes me a better person. It's a daily choice to choose to self-reflect on my frustrations and outbursts and look at my motivations and choose to put her and my family above myself. I do it to be worthy of them, and I like who I am when I do it. I'll be honest, sometimes there are spells where I'm prioritizing myself. More video game time, more self-hobbies. I'm usually less happy depressed in those times. Serving my family is life-giving. Story 35. Been together 24 years now. We got married because we were bored of people asking when we're going to get married. Now, if we explain the discrepancy, they ask what took us so long. It didn't change much, but the ring made her super happy, so there's that. Still happy to be with her. Story 36. Being married doesn't really mean much to me. I was already mentally committed. However, I'm glad we had a nice day and didn't spend too much on it. Also, my wife looked like a babe. Happily married. For a year and a bit, together 9 years, married to my best friend and teammate. Story 37. Got married 6 years ago after 2.5 years together. Got engaged after 8 months together. Best decision I've ever made. My wife is my rock. I've gone through so many terrible mental health struggles with anxiety, depression, and OCD since the pandemic that it would have been so easy for her to give up on me. But she's got my back and loves me unconditionally. We pick each other up. Story 38. Yep, got married last year to someone who is now my best friend. I couldn't imagine not being with my wife. While we don't have the same hobbies or always see eye to eye on things, we communicate to the best of our abilities and resolve things like adults. Story 39. Most of the time, yes. I have mood swings because of medication, so I get all pissy sometimes and I'm like, am I unhappy? But at the end of the day, she is my biggest cheerleader, and there is no one I feel more comfortable talking to. When I'm at my lowest low, she is there, and my highest high. She isn't my best friend in the classic sense. We have different hobbies, but there is no one I would rather kick back and watch a movie with or just go out on a stroll. Story 40. I've been married 13 years. I'm happy I'm married because it made my wife happy. We'd been together 10 years by the time we married. It was also a fantastic party. Being married in itself doesn't make a huge difference to me. It's nice, I guess. I am pretty confident we'll stay together for decades to come, but I think we would have regardless. Story 41. I am, though I've only been married for a couple months at this point. Nothing has changed for us since getting married, which I believe is the way it should be. As others here have said, it's a choice that both people must make and must continue to make. But knowing that I have someone who knows me inside and out and who is always rooting for me and will do anything to help me is just about the best thing in the world. Story 42. Marriage, like all things in life, is a roller coaster. The euphoria of the honeymoon phase eventually dies down into a slow-burning love for each other. It requires constant work and understanding from both people. When you find a person you can truly let your guard down around, a person who has already seen you at some of your worst points and decided they loved you regardless, it is a love you cannot experience anywhere else. Story 43. Although I am progressive, in terms of relationships, I realize I am a bit stuck in the mud. When I got married, I took the vows very seriously. No one in my family ever divorced. I knew my marriage was bad. I would do stuff like lie about working late so I could spend 45 minutes playing Hearthstone in my car before I had to go home. Avoiding your own house is not a good sign. I fought like hell for that relationship, even to the point where I was the only one fighting for it. I thought enough effort, and love, and trying so fudge hard could fix things. It cannot. Getting married can be like having a baby to fix a relationship. It's rarely going to improve something. If you and yours are doing awesome, why fudge with that? Why add pressure, eyeballs, or whatever else to your private bliss? I had another relationship after that one, and I learned the real issue. It was me. My love language is giving, small presents always, acts of service, etc. There is a breed of people who seeks those who give and only desire to take. It isn't a man-woman thing. It is a predator stalking rich prey. I will never marry again. It has legal consequences here and very few benefits. If I love someone enough to stay together without guardrails, then I will just continue to do so. Of course, I will make sure my partner knows this too. Story 44. Married 18 years, and while it has had its ups and downs, I am a better person for it. My wife is a strong, independent woman who also happens to enjoy being a wife and all that comes with it. I have someone in my bed every night who I trust, a financial partner, someone to help raise children, a person who offsets my reckless abandon with conservative optimism. Plus, she cooks like no one's business. Story 45. Sort of. Currently going through a separation leading to divorce after 12 years married and longer together. Was told, just not in love with you anymore, etc. Typical pre-menopause, finding myself again, explanations as well. 2 children. Also, there's an at minimum emotional affair. The separation came before the physical part from her, as best as I can tell at least. In retrospect, we had some honest talks about it, and I realized many things were busted in our relationship. We kind of sacrificed ourselves for our kids on both sides. That's expected, and I see it as less of an issue personally than she does. I personally, as much as I had my moments of quote-unquote unhappiness at times, overall was happy with our life overall. And while I knew my wife and I needed to work on things and I wanted to, I absolutely didn't want it to end and believe in attempting to work for it. I just don't think we had a clear vision of what was busted until now. I recognize some areas we admit we both made personal mistakes in and ignored over time. I told her, I don't want us to end, but I don't want to go back to what we had as is either. As of yet, it doesn't sound like that's going to matter, and this will likely end in divorce. This shatters my heart and terrifies me as someone who gave up a large amount of himself and his life to work towards what I thought was for the family, which is now being torn in half. That said, I don't regret those years. I loved and still do love her. I really enjoyed the family we built. I enjoyed spending the days with her, and our time together as limited as it was because we prioritized other things. I love our kids. It infuriates me that I won't be able to see them the way I do now, and that they will have to go through this. I nearly break down when I go to bed. Simply the idea of putting my arm around her when we sleep is gone. But I cherish the years we had. Does a part of me feel I partied too hard over 30 of my life with this person, building something only to basically feel betrayed? Yes. But then I look at my kids and the fond memories and the things I have learned about myself over those years. I absolutely have no desire to start looking again. I wish I could say the same for her. Where I was excited I was, quote, done for life, and she would make jokes about us being that old couple together at the diner in our old age. She very quickly changed her mind when someone better came along. It infuriates me more when she acts like we will always be close in life, and how she gets the emotional benefits of our relationship without the investment. Yet, I can't dislike what we had. It's really weird feeling that's tough to explain. I dislike that it's ending, but I don't dislike that it existed. I don't know. I don't have a positive feeling on marriage at the moment. I'm very much in that bitterness camp where no, I don't recommend it to people. In my head, and I admit there's no such thing as perfect and things I needed to improve upon, I was still a really good husband, an amazing father, and worked my jerk off for my family. And seeing my soon-to-be ex not realize that first part is probably the most painful thing ever. Especially considering, even with all of the above, I still consider her having been a great wife. And to top it off, I live in a state where none of that will be recognized legally either when the time comes. It's painful. So, I don't know. Am I happy I got married? Yes, but is that an actual answer? I don't know. I will say, I used to look at those couples who hit like 30 years and 40 years married and be like, oh, we got this, no problem. I would have never expected being sidelined and surprised like this. In retrospect, the signs were there, but I can't help feel modern society, social media, etc., all had an impact on this as well. I feel absolutely betrayed because we hit the part of through better or worse and I felt in the past I lived up to my half of that, and that isn't reciprocated. Story 46. 3.5 years currently, but known her for about 9 years. Best decision I ever made. We have a beautiful 5-year-old. My wife impresses me every day and encourages me to be affectionate and strong. She does not look down on me when the stresses of life get to me. She is so understanding of the struggles of being a provider and strives to help with this burden. She is hands down my best friend of all time and my greatest treasure. She deserves the world. Story 47. For sure, it's been the best part of my life. I'd feel empty if I got to be this age without experiencing the family I have. Everyone's different, but that's me for sure. Related, I have a friend my age who has been single about 10 years now and is unhappy with the revolving door of women he's been with. Also, a lot of divorces at my age, and man, that looks just terrible. I don't want to be constantly meeting new women in hopes that one of them is a person who would be great to spend all of my time with. I'm picky. Story 48. Been married 15 years, together 17. Some days you think you'd be better off alone. That's when you're in a bad mood and you are nitpicking on everything your partner does. Then you sit on it and realize how lost you'd be without that person. Thankfully, my wife is fantastic and we mesh so well together. She's opened up my eyes to so much in life. I used to never travel. Now I've seen so many amazing places and experienced so much. There's always bumps along the way, and you won't always see eye to eye through all the small petty shoot. I'm so happy I got married to her. She has made me a better man and continues to do so daily. Story 49. Married 16 years, together for 19. I remember seeing my grandparents married over 50 years and still holding hands, hugging, and kissing in the morning and at night before bed. I knew I always wanted that. I feel so lucky to have found someone early enough in my life, 29, to hopefully be married 50 years myself. Actively loving each other and continuing to make the effort to stay in love is crucial to having a happy, long-lasting marriage. There's no one else I'd rather be doing this life thing with, and feel so blessed to have not only an amazing partner in all of it, but a best friend I can truly be myself around. I wish this on everyone. Story 50. Been married just over a year to a woman I've been with for almost 10. Still thrilled to spend time with her every day. Our relationship hasn't changed, except now we have more legal benefits and can share health insurance and stuff. Also, I've found that being married gets me more respect with colleagues, since I'm much younger than most of them. People just take me more seriously. Story 51. Hey OP, 49-year-old married father of 2 in the UK here. Married in 2013, 12 years and going strong. Am very glad I'm married. For me, it's the realization of the seriousness of the commitment that I like. It makes life much more straightforward. I have stood up in front of my wife, family, friends, and, if you believe, God, and made a series of very serious promises that I intend to keep, to be a man of my word. All of this is specific to me. For many people, commitment doesn't need a piece of paper or words spoken out loud, but I means a lot to me and I'm glad I did it. For better or for worse, there's a cultural aspect too. Marriage is still seen as being important for couples committing to each other. And thankfully, it's now not just limited to us straights either. Love is love, and that's that. Legally, it makes things more straightforward in the UK regards kids and being able to approve medical treatment, etc., etc. Story 52. Almost 20 years, married for 16. It's easy when you admit nobody is perfect, starting with yourself. We don't always go to bed at the same time, snuggle, and sometimes the only affection either of us might get in a day is a quick kiss goodbye or welcome home. But home sure would be lonely without the wife and kids home. Story 53. It's a mixed bag from my perspective. Pros. 1. We have the 2 best kids anybody could ask for. This alone is worth it. That said, we could have had kids without being married. 2. My wife is an incredible manager of the house. She keeps track of everything about all of our schedules and keeps the chaos managed. Football, gymnastics, cheerleading, baseball, art camps, math club, vacations, etc., etc., etc. My kids wouldn't survive if I were in charge. 3. I love having her family as a part of my family. It's like I inherited a bunch of extra aunts and uncles and cousins, and they're almost all really great people who I enjoy spending time with. Cons. 1. Intimacy. Life has become significantly less interesting. I know people joke about it, but having one single intimacy partner is tough for some people. It's not how I am wired, and I didn't even really realize it at first. I will never cheat. That is not what I'm saying. 2. I miss the flexibility of being single. It's kind of the opposite side of the coin of one of the positives. But I love being able to send a text to my friends and just ask them, who wants to go to X city this weekend for Y concert or baseball game or whatever? And then just going, if anybody bites or not. If nobody bites, maybe somebody suggests just going to a local thing or just meeting at a bar instead. Marriage is fine. I love playing sports with my kids and helping them study and just hanging out with them generally. I know that the reality is that they wouldn't be here if we haven't gotten married. So I'll say, yeah, I'm happy. But just be careful and thoughtful about it before you get married. Story 54. I just married a few weeks ago. We lived together for a couple years beforehand, and that experience just confirmed we make a great team. Marriage always felt like some huge, crazy commitment to me until I met her. Now it just feels like a natural continuation of the life we both chose together. We have our ups and downs. The downs are rare, and spend most of our days looking out for each other, laughing, and doing life. I love it, but wasn't ready for this in my 20s. 30s feels a lot different. Story 55. 5. About to be 6 years of marriage, about to be 9 years together. She is the greatest gift God has ever given me. I've been wanting to be married since I was a kid, to be a husband, a provider, a godly example. Not perfect, just good. And most importantly, I wanted a woman to say, I love you too, and spoil as often as I can with affection and genuine acts of care. She gave me the entire world when she said yes to me when I knelt with a ring. Now I vow to spend each day earning her. Story 56. For the most part, yeah, I love my lady, and even when things are rough, I still want to grow old with her and only her. I think things are particularly tough right now because she's struggling with our baby entering toddlerhood, especially with the energy needed to keep up with a toddler. Poor woman is so drained. A day at the spa still leaves her tired and moderately irritable. However, when things are calm, they're amazing. Story 57. I think for many of us, a long-enduring marriage can become a business. Two people deeply involved with one another, but the relationship dries up and becomes stale. But circumstances, family, finance, roots, makes it too hard to change gears. It seems like all the happy ones weigh in and articulate contentment. I'm weighing in to say, not so much. Story 58. Absolutely. I got married relatively young, but when you know she's the one, you just know. She's my best friend and partner in everything. She's a wonderful mother, going on 10 years now, and we still have interesting discussions that can keep us occupied without turning on music for a 3-hour drive. I know what we have is special, and I'm thankful for her every day. Story 59. My wife and I have been together for 20 years, married for 18. Marrying her was the single smartest thing I ever did. We work well together. We play well together. We parent well together. Sure, there are times when we get on each other's nerves, but we established early on that we aren't fighting each other, but the problem. We have seen better and worse, but we've always had each other's backs. I gleefully marry her again, in a second. Story 6. No, we put more effort in, and were more open with each other when we were free to walk away at any time. I feel like I signed over half my income for some tax benefits at the end of the day, and marriage itself has been a net negative on the relationship. Story 61. No, got married too young. We both changed pretty dramatically after a few years and still tried to make things work because we were married. Over time, we grew resentful due to a variety of issues, and my ex became incredibly spiteful and nasty towards me. The last few years, we were fighting constantly until divorce. If we dated and never married, we would have gone separate ways once we started growing apart because no legal requirements. I would have really great memories of her that aren't clouded by the way she became. I also wouldn't feel like I partied too hard, years trying to make a doomed relationship work. Story 62. Yes, I have a friend, a companion, a lover, a confidant. I have someone to share things with, like food and wine, travel with. I have someone to support me when I need it. I have someone to support when she needs it. And, if I'm honest, boobs. I have access to boobs, and yes, she knows this. It's a cheesy line from a movie, but she makes me want to be better. Story 63. Been married nearly 12 years, working on 50. Crazy happy. She makes every part of my life better, and I do my best to do the same for her. One thing my wife likes to say is, a good marriage is one in which each partner feels like they are the lucky one. Both parties need to work to make the other person feel happy, safe in all respects, and comfortable in their vision of the future. My wife does that for me. I'm super introverted, but her presence recharges me. I'm able to be comfortable being imperfect, while also wanted to improve, constantly. I can be open about my sense of humor, love of childish things, and emotional vulnerabilities. Can I live without her? Sure, but I choose to live with her daily. Since meeting her, there hasn't been a day where I would choose otherwise. Story 64. I'll likely get downvoted, but yes and no. It's complicated for me. My wife and I have been together 10 years and married for 5 years. We also have a 2-year-old son. I've been fantasizing divorce for the last 3.5-ish years and seriously considering it for the last year. For context, my wife has just given up. Before we got married, she had dreams, exercised, worked hard, went to school, etc. After marriage, she just stopped everything. She gained 200 pounds, and she quit her job and refuses to find work. She did graduate college at least, but considering she doesn't want to work, that was $40,000 and 2 years of time that was just flushed down the drain. I wouldn't dare say she is a bad mother to our son, with how attentive and proactive she is with him, but she's changed incredibly ever since I married her, and she's been a very neglectful and overall bad wife. I've tried talking to her dozens of times about bettering her health, about finding a job. I've been drowning with the bills solo for years despite asking her for help, about attending both individual and couples therapy, etc., all from the angle of working together with her and not berating her. And she always agrees with me that she needs to change, and then she changes for a couple weeks to a month, but then goes back to what she did prior. As for the therapy, she outright refuses to attend it at all. All of it has impacted our intimacy life, our couple life, and such. We're intimate, maybe once a month, if at all. I can barely get her to even sit and watch shows with me, and the last date we had was a year ago, and I had to basically pull teeth to get her to come along with me, which ended up making the experience miserable. Otherwise, generally, we can't afford to go out, because 90% of my net income goes to bills. She quit her job after we got married so she could focus on her degree, and I was initially proud to be supporting her there. But once she graduated over 3 years ago, she never bothered to find a job, and I feel betrayed about all of my blood, sweat, and tears there, especially because, for a time, our finances got so bad, and we were barely getting by that it made me tragic end. Minus the childcare, she is also barely a homemaker. She'll at least cook dinner, but I often have to do many of the chores, like laundry, bathroom cleaning, vacuuming, etc., myself, even though I spend most of my active hours away from home working, and she's just hanging out at home with our son. I know that can be a lot too, but I've also done it, and I still manage to get chores done. Anyway, I got married to have a partner to build a life with, to buy a house together with, to have a family with, and not a lifelong dependent who just uses me. I've always been of the mindset that marriage is for life, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. But every day I feel lonely, neglected, and miserable, and I'm pretty much at my limit at this point. Story 65. Interesting question and replies. I am married, over 40 years, first marriage. Sometimes it's good and more often it has been not. She has health issues and that affects quality of life, travel her moods, and physical closeness. As I'm retired, I keep busy volunteering and make friends. Some are women, and TBH, there is attraction mutually, but haven't taken next step. Advice? Story 66. Been together for 20 and married for 11. And kids. And yep, happy as I can be with life in general. She doesn't set up a prison for me like some women do. I get to do stuff I like, with and without her. No one can own my time. I choose to prioritize her and the kids, though. Story 67. I think first you have to define what is happiness. And I am on the camp that it does not exist as a continuum. We get brief moments of it, and depending how life is going, we get them more or less often. Western culture favors individuality, pleasure, and self-realization. 3 things that are incompatible with conventional notions of marriage and the idea of personal happiness. Marriage is about having a partner that is willing to put in the work, is communicative, patient, and generous. A good partner will inspire you to become a better version of yourself by being an honest reflection of your personality and actions. And you both have aligned morals and values. Shared interest and taste are a plus, but much less important than what people think. Once I learned this, and that marriage is never easy, requires work and compromise, it enabled me to have more happy moments with my wife and pull me back from the edge of a divorce. I also internalized that contentment, peace, and satisfaction are the true measures of a good marriage. I have them so I can say I am happy of my decision. I can picture a more fun and carefree life without her, but a sadder and more empty life without her. And we don't even have kids. Story 68. I'm on my second marriage at 36. My first one was 11 years ago that lasted for 2 years. I think we were both pretty immature and weren't yet capable of being honest with ourselves, much less each other. Nothing dramatic happened, but just being with each other every day as we changed as people depressed both of us to a point where we couldn't find any reasons of being together anymore. It ended peacefully, and we both regret the way it happened. I wasn't sure if I would marry again until I met my now wife at 30, married at 32. And the last 4 years have been the best years of my life. I learned how to be more honest with myself and tried from day one to be as much as possible from day one the second time around, even if it's not pretty. We now have a toddler together, and it's been stressful, but we've handled it so well together it made me realize how far from sensible that first one was. Story 69. We got together in high school and became teen parents our sophomore year. It's been 15 years now, and we've grown up together, facing every challenge, both individually and as a team. She's my best friend in the whole world, and I still feel lucky every single day that I get to spend my life with her. Marriage itself didn't really change much for us. It just made official what we already had, both legally and financially. Story 70. Definitely. My wife is awesome, and all I want to do is hang out with her. Not much changed when we got married on the day-to-day level. The biggest change was the ceremony. It put her in my brain in a new, permanent kind of way. It's good to have a moment where there is a definitive before and definitive after. And after that moment, it solidified a lot of things that were already feeling solid, and it cast away a lot of anxieties that came from dating. I've literally never had some of the negative feelings I used to have regularly when I was dating anymore. They're just a thing of the past. The thing is, though, is that I married the right person. It's not about the marriage itself. It's about her. I've dated lots of great people, but marriage only really would have worked with my wife. And I think I had better relationships with some of my exes than some people have in their marriages. So point being, marriage shouldn't be the goal itself. The goal should be have a strong enough relationship with someone where marriage is the obvious, natural progression of that relationship. Story 71. Married 18 years. Yes, I do love her. That's not where the happiness comes from, though. It comes from spending time with a person and growing close. Having a partner makes the good times better, and the